NYMLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
And welcome to a new episode of NYMLB Talk, co-hosted by Rob and myself. And remember, you can follow us right here on YouTube. Hit us that subscribe button for us. That would be great. You could also find us on Twitter at NYMLB Talk. You can follow Rob at R. Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY. So, Rob, what's going on?
Hey, Chris, no complaints here. The Mets did what they had to do. They swept the lowly Rockies, and, things are really looking good. The Mets are back in first place, a game over Philly, and, things are just looking a lot better than they were looking. And Soto looks like he's starting to come through.
It looks like it. Maybe it takes, playing against the worst team in the league. Maybe that just kind of kickstarted everybody, and I think that's a good thing. But listen, before we get into the games for the Mets and the Yankees, we start talking Mets and Yankees. I think we got to talk about what today is. Today is Lou Gehrig Day in Major League Baseball. And it's about bringing attention to ALS and everything what that disease is. Listen, we know how great the player was, Lou Gehrig, right? I mean,
right.
He's the Iron Horse, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, not just for the Yankees, but he's also one of the greatest players. And who knows what his career numbers would have looked like if he didn't get, ALS towards the end of his career. He probably had a few more good years in him. So, but yeah, today, like I said, I'm actually wearing a shirt. Baseball is the best shirt. It's from RotoWear, actually, rotoware.com. You can pick it up there. I'm going to put up the link so you guys could see it. And 100% of the proceeds go right to the ALS Foundation. I'll show it to you. So that's the shirt. The darker blue, it looks like Yankee colors. That's the one I got. The one on the right is a new one that they just put up. And it's $30. Listen, it's a cool shirt to wear. It's really good quality. I've worn it since I bought it a couple of years ago. I wore it a lot. And it's still in good shape. It's a great shirt, and the money goes to ALS, which would be awesome. Any kind of money going to them. Listen, you buy a shirt and you're helping out people. You can't go wrong, right?
No, not at all.
And another organization I'm going to point out real quick before we go on is obviousshirts.com. That's another one. They also sell a really cool shirt as well. And they have, I'll show you. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, and while you look for that, the players are wearing number 4 on their uniforms.
Yes. Here's all the shirts, and they have for every team. So if you're Yankee fan, Met fan, you got their colors. The top ones are for Boog's Army. That's Boog Scamby. He's the guy that does the play-by-play for the Cubs now. Remember him from ESPN games. He also did MLB The Show. He was the voice on there too. So he's got an organization too. And all this money goes to his organization. So you can see all the different colors they have, different teams, all that. So definitely worth a look. Definitely check it out. It's definitely one of those organizations. I'm sure. I had an uncle who had ALS, and he passed away from it too. Just horrible. Another guy, Steve Gleason, everybody knows from the Saints. He had that big block punt in the first game back after Hurricane Katrina. He eventually came down with ALS, and he's still alive. Incredibly, he's an incredible inspiration. But definitely check him out as well. He's got an organization as well that goes for research for ALS. So definitely check it out. But today, definitely keep an awareness about ALS today. I think that's what it's all about. So not to forget about those people.
Yeah, listen, it's a great cause. It's a devastating illness for the person and for their family. It really is. So you guys, if you want, check out the site, check out the shirts. Everything goes to charity. So
it's definitely check it out. And And what I'll do is I'll post the links on Twitter as well. So if you're on Twitter and if you're on our page, go by there and I'll set up the link there so you guys could just click it and go right to it. And listen, I'm telling you right now, Rob and I were not sponsored by these companies.
No.
So we're not getting anything out of this. This is nothing. This is just, you know what? This is just part of the day, the Lou Gehrig Day. I just thought everybody should know about it. And listen, if you want to help, you know, you could also just donate money to these organizations as well. But if you want to buy a shirt and help people out, hey, that's even better. So check it out. Obviously, baseball is the best for Sarah Langs from ESPN and MLB Network. You guys know her story as well. Check her out as well. You could give her a follow on Twitter. She's an incredible baseball follow. She's an incredible person, incredible inspiration fighting this dreaded disease. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's a great cause. Before we start, I just want to say hello to all our new viewers out there on Twitch and X, and of course YouTube. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Definitely, man, and thank you for the follows. Like I said, hit that subscribe button if you want, so you know when our next shows will be coming up. We usually Mondays and Fridays, but sometimes we throw curveballs and we do it on a Tuesday or a Thursday because we have a special guest or whatever. But anyway, it's usually Mondays and Fridays. But anyway, hit that subscribe button. That'll be much better for us as well. So, definitely. But anyway, let's get into the good stuff. Mets end up sweeping the worst team in baseball, but it's still listen. You still had to get it done, and the Mets did, right? They swept the Rockies, 3 games. Let's talk about it, Rob.
Yeah, well, listen, those are the games that you have to win. And when they don't win those games, that's really disturbing because those are easy games to win. The Rockies are just horrible to watch. They do everything wrong. They field wrong. They bat wrong. They run the base paths wrong. It's just crazy. Watching them, it's like watching the Keystone Cops running the bases. And the Mets took advantage of and every mistake that the Rockies made, the Mets took advantage, and the Mets swept them. And things are getting better with Soto, which we're happy about. So we don't have to hear 100 times, is Soto not happy? What's going on? Did he make a mistake? Does he regret it? The guy looked pretty happy this weekend. He was smiling with his teammates. You could look in the dugout. The post-game shows he was happy. He said everything's going to be all right. So come on, especially to your fellow Yankee fans, Chris.
Yeah.
Enough already. I'm getting tired of listening about it.
Listen, you know me. I'm like, I really don't care. He's doing his thing. He's going to be Juan Soto. It was just a matter of time. And hopefully, listen, I'm going to flip it out to the other side. Like, yeah, let's hope this is what turns it around for him, right? But we have to remember, this was also the Colorado Rockies, who are 9-50 on the year. So listen, he'll be fine without a doubt, right? And the team's going to be fine. They're going to be the playoff team, maybe even winning the division, right? But this was the Rockies, so let's.
but that's true, Chris. But okay, they swept the Rockies.
Yes.
Okay, the Rockies only have 9 wins. One of those wins
the Yankees too,
against the Yankees. So they haven't even hit 10 wins yet. What? Yeah. They lost their 50th game yesterday against the Mets. 50 games, June 1st. That's, it's over before it even starts.
Right.
It hasn't even started.
Think about it. They're 9-50, right? If they win, I think someone posted, if they win 52 games the rest of the year, they'll go 52-51, right? They have 103 games left. If they win 52 of those games, they're still going to lose 100 games. That's how bad
and they're not going to win fit. They're not going to win that many.
No,
they're not. And yesterday, another thing that happened yesterday was the first time this year or ever really that Lindor, Alonso, and Soto hit a home run in the same game. So that was definitely a plus.
The first of many that's going to happen. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to happen. The pitching looked good. Peterson had a great game the other night. I just can't complain. Diaz struck the side out on Friday night, and then yesterday he gave up a hit, but he also struck out the side. So he's coming through. Your old friend Clay Holmes looked decent, and Senga pitched great again. So everything's good. We're happy, and the Mets it's starting to click. Okay, yes, it's against Colorado. Okay. They have the Dodgers coming up. What?
And listen, you also got good news from the what do you call it? Right? From Minaya. He's working his way back soon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to see how long it takes. He still has to have, he still has to have his rehab starts, and it's like they missed spring training, but let's see what happens. Right now, the pitching has been way better than we thought. Way better than we expected.
At this point, you don't need it, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Hey, a fresh arm, he's going to be good in this, down the stretch if everything goes all right. Yeah. But, right now, everything's clicking. Beatty, too. I mean, yesterday he didn't have a great game, but other than that, since he's come up from the minors, the guy's been hitting and his fielding has improved. I'm happy right now with the Mets. I really am.
And you know what? I seen Montas was starting to throw some rehab games, but he got kind of lit up a little bit. It's almost like I think he's become your Marcus Stroman, right? It's like, oh, no, yes. You need more time. You need more time. Just take your
time. Maybe he'll be ready in December if we're lucky.
There you go. Right? Yeah, come back in December. We'll see you in December, right? We'll see you then.
Yeah. And the Mets offense, I'm going to put this up again. The Met offense has been a bit below until, the past couple of series.
Players. Yeah, I would say certain players, right? Alvarez has been, and
that's the problem.
Right.
Alvarez, they have to figure out what's going on with Alvarez, Chris.
Yeah. And I think Vientos too. I think at some point, listen, you got Beatty now playing great at third base, right? So now Vientos could become a trade piece now for you guys, right?
Yeah, he could.
He's still young.
Trade piece, or maybe they send him down to work on things. I don't know. We'll have to see. But great weekend.
Is doing well.
Yeah, great weekend in Flushing. The Mets have been winning at home like crazy, and everything's good tonight. Now, everything's good today. Now, tonight, they start a series in LA, and I'm not that worried, though, because the Mets won 2 out of 3 last weekend. It was home, but so what? The Mets could win against the Dodgers, so I'm not even worried. If these guys are all hitting now, Lindor, Alonso, Soto, it's gonna be fun in LA. If not, listen, we know what happens on West Coast trips, right? Right. The Yankees almost got swept by the Dodgers.
Yeah.
but right now I'm confident and I'm going to enjoy this. And hopefully the Mets at least take 2 out of 3 from LA.
4. They're playing 4 against
LA.
Yeah,
that's right. 4. Yep, I forgot about that.
Blackburn is making 4. his debut tonight, right? His season debut tonight. What do you expect tonight of Blackburn in his first start?
Oh, I don't know what his pitch count's going to be. He's going to be on a short leash, of course. Hopefully, listen, I feel good about it too every day, Mets. I feel good about it. Anything could happen, though. Like I said, he'd be on a short leash. We'll see what his pitch count is. But I'm looking forward to tonight's game. And, if the Mets could take 3 out of 4, because that's right, they are playing 4, that would just be great. That's win. What have we said, Chris? Win series. You don't have to sweep series. You got to win series. You win the series, and everything else comes with it.
Yeah, and in a 4-game series in LA, listen, if you take 2, I think that's a bonus. And anything more than 2 games is like is gravy. So take 2 and you walk out of there, and then you got 3 against the Rockies. You could walk in there and sweep them as well. So yeah, just don't lose the series, and it's okay, right? Just take the
Yeah.
2. And right now they're playing great, and the Dodgers, obviously, like you said, they took 2 out of 3 against us, but they're a little banged up. Obviously, not a little bit. Their pitching is severely banged up, right? All the like 2 or 3 of their top pitchers are out. I mean, Glasnow's out, Snell is out, so and Mookie Betts didn't even play in the series against the Yankees. He banged his toe, so he couldn't play for 3 days. I don't know if he's going to be okay for your series. He might, he might have to miss more games because his toe is hurting him. So you never know.
Yeah, and also, with Mookie Betts and his toe, everything's different now. We were talking about this before. Old-time baseball players, and it might be fractured. So if it's fractured, that's a different story. But these guys, they sprain their toe or their finger and they're out. It's just not like it used to be. But they're big investments, and that's why this happens, okay? Clubs are investing a lot of money in these players. And listen, if anything's tweaked, they don't want these guys to go out there. They don't want to, they don't want someone they're paying millions of dollars to go out there and get worse. So, I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, get him 100%. You're still winning games. Like that's the beauty of the Dodgers, right? I mean, they could sit Mookie Betts and still have a really good lineup, right? They could still have a great lineup with the guys that they have. They could have 2 or 3 of their top pitchers out in their rotation and still roll out, a really good rotation. So that just shows you the depth that the Dodgers have. The one thing is their bullpen has thrown the most innings so far this season. So they're going to be, obviously we're getting close to the trade deadline, right? We're a month or so away from it now. The Dodgers are going to be busy as usual. We know what they're going to do, right? They're going to try to make a big move. So we'll see what happens by then. But yeah, I mean, you got the yin and the yang there, or the one extreme to the other on this road trip, right? You got 4 against LA, and then you got 3 against Colorado. So you got the best team and the worst team. So listen, out of 7 games, if you take 5 out of 7, that's awesome, right? 4 out of 7, all right, that's a little less than you want, but 5 out of 7 would be great.
That would be great. So tell me, what happened with the Yankees and the rematch of last year's World Series? What are your feelings about that? I mean, I watched the game, so I know, but talk to me about that, Chris.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I think overall the series proved it once again that the Dodgers are just a better team right now than the Yankees. And the Yankees, whether it's Cashman, Steinbrenner, these guys got to be thinking to themselves, okay, what do we have to do to get our team to be better than the Dodgers, right? Yeah, we got Jazz coming back. We got Stanton coming back. We got Cruz coming back for the bullpen. Hill is coming back, hopefully in the second half. That's great. But even with those guys, is that going to make us better than the Dodgers? And right now, I don't think it does, right? Are we the best team in the American League? Yeah, you can make the argument. It's either us or Detroit, right? But does that mean we're going to beat the best team in the National League? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to beat the Dodgers in the World Series, even if they make it. The Padres, it might be the Mets, it might be the Phillies, right? Could be the Cubs right now. Who knows? But we have to get better. And I hope that if anything came out of this series was that the team has seen, okay, you know what? We're not as good as the Dodgers. We're a good team. We're a pretty good team. We're probably the best team in the American League, but we're not better than that team. It's as simple as that, because that team came in more injured than we were. And, they threw out two out of the 3 games was not their best starters, like guys that would not be in their rotation if the other guys were healthy, right? And we couldn't beat them. Yes, we beat their better starter, Yamamoto, surprisingly.
Yeah.
but that's the other positive. I think winning the last game in the series, if there was one game to be won, it was that game. Because now the flight home is like, all right, hey, you know what? We didn't get swept. We won this game. All right. You get that good feeling. If you lost 2 out of 3, and let's say you won the first game and lost the next 2, I think that plane ride home would have felt a lot worse. So I think that, for me, is the positives out of it. Okay, We learned that we're not as good as that team still, number one. And number two, we won the last game. We're leaving on a good note. That ride home is going to be a little bit better. Yarbrough was great again. Incredible 6 innings, 1 run. He's just been amazing for us. Think about it. If he wasn't in there, that would have been a Carrasco start, right? So that shows you how bad we really.
And nobody wants that.
We would have had no shot. So but let me I'm going to put up his stats over his last 7 games. Max Goodman, great follow for Yankee fans. I'm going to put up his article here. Look at those numbers that he's put up in his last 7 outings. 5 of them starts. His last 5 have been starts. 1.76 ERA, 30 2/3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 27 Ks, and a .78 WHIP, which is pretty good. I mean, for a guy who's coming in as your number 5 starter. I mean, this guy saved that series for us. So, and he's been a revelation for us in starting. And it's, it's kind of making the Yankees take their time with Hill. Don't have to bring him up right away. Let him rehab and take his time. Stroman is starting to throw, but he's another one. Like you said, we'll see you in December. That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now there's no reason to bring him up because he's not going to go into the bullpen, and there's no reason to bring him up and to replace him with one of the starters we got. Because Will Warren looked, horrible on Saturday, right? That was the blowout. He looked bad, but you know what? He's a kid, rookie. I think that was probably the wrong game for him to start. LA prime time, all that. Maybe they should have skipped the start or something. But that he looked like he was just. It was like a deer in the headlights there in that game. And then Friday night, Max Fried, he gave up a couple of runs early in the first and second inning. Then it looked like he was settling in. And then the 6th inning came and we know what happened. The bullpen didn't do the job. So we ended up losing that game, even though we had the lead. But we know how that goes against the Dodgers. So the one thing, like I said, we learned we are not as good as the Dodgers and we have to get better by the time October comes around. We have to get better. Simple as that. And we are, with the guys that are coming back on their own, I think we're the best team in the American League. But I don't think it's good enough to beat the Dodgers.
See, and the thing is, the National League is tougher than the American League right now. We've talked about that. The National League is going to be tough. There's more teams in it. Right now, the could go either way with the Yankees in Detroit. Detroit has a better record right now, but the Yankees are going to get healthier. They just need more consistency, not just not just judge. Right.
Yeah, and you know what? And it was weird, right? The game that we won, guess what happens? Judge goes, 0 for 4. But the rest of the lineup actually produces, and that's what it was weird. I was talking with our good friend Lynn from the Pinstripe Chronicles on Sunday on her show, and I was saying we have to get more out of everybody else other than Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is having this incredible season, batting almost 400, home runs, like it's just unreal this year. But the rest of the lineup has to support him. It can't be just Judge because eventually these teams are just going to walk him. And we've seen that against the Angels. So the other guys are going to have to make these teams pay. So we'll see. And that's what happened on Sunday night. It was great. The rest of the lineup hit. DJ LeMahieu got 4 hits. Come on. The last time he's done that was, I think, 2021 at Boston. So, you know what? Listen, if he could just – obviously, he's not going to get 4 hits every night. But if he could just be average, it would be an improvement of what we've gotten – from second and third base, right? So if he could just give us an average season, that's it. Just don't embarrass yourself out there, and it'll be an improvement of what we've had so far. And you got Jazz coming back. He's working at third base down in AAA, AA, where he is now. So that's where he's probably going to come up. But the good thing is with Jazz is he gives you that flexibility that he could play third or second. So if we get to the trade deadline and we end up getting a third baseman, he could go back to second. Or if we get a second baseman, he could play third. So I think either way, it's great. So we're not stuck with we need one position. We need one of two there for sure. And hopefully it's a right-handed bat.
Yeah. Well, the Yankees are have Cleveland coming up, and you guys can't, Cleveland could give the Yankees problems, as we know.
Always.
So why don't you give me, a preview of that series?
Yeah, you know what? Cleveland's one of those teams that, you know what, you can't like overlook, obviously, right? They're that spunky team that's always gonna give you a problem. And Cleveland always does against us, especially in Cleveland. But at home, this is a series like you gotta win, right? I mean, I'm not saying Cleveland's a bad team by any stretch, but it's a team that you gotta win against. Right now they're 32-26. They're coming off winning 2 straight. Their last 10, 6-4. So not bad. It's to me, it's a series you got to win. Again, I think the Yankees are the better team. They're at home. They got today off, which is great. So they could go into the series with that one day off. They got kind of a little bit of I didn't get any reports yet, but Weaver didn't play didn't pitch at all in yesterday's game. He had like a hamstring issue. So we're going to see if that's going to be a long-term thing or, an IL or whatever. Let's hope not. And the other one was Dominguez sliding into second. He had the oven mitt on his left hand, but not his right. And he led with the right hand going in, which was strange. Yeah. So he jammed it or something. But he said he felt fine after the game, where he felt better. So that's a good sign. So hopefully that's not an IL stint either. Hopefully that's just a game or two, rest of thumb or whatever it is that's bothering him. And that'll be fine. And we got Fernando Cruz, they said should be back this week for the bullpen. So that's great. Probably Carrasco will get sent down with someone else. I don't know, but Cruz definitely getting back to the bullpen is a huge plus. So.
Yeah, you got to hope Carrasco's the one that gets sent down.
Yeah, I don't want to see him pitch anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But the Yankees, the Yankees just have to be careful of the Guardians. It's still, I almost said the Indians. Sorry about that, but it's still hard.
It is, but you know what? But that's who they've been for 100 years or whatever it was, right? So it's hard not to call them that, And I think let's put this out there. It was the Indians to Guardians, like the worst logo change ever in the history of logo changes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. I don't like it at all. They could have did so much better than the Guardians, but
luckily for us, TBK did a good job on our logo, so our logo got better.
Exactly. Maybe, you know what, Cleveland or Major League Baseball or any of these teams out there, next time if you're looking to change logos, call up TBK. Call up our guy TBK for the logo change, and maybe he could help you out.
Definitely.
So anyway, so that's our weeks coming up. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see how you guys do against LA in a 4-game series. That's going to be a really good series. Both of you guys first place, arguably the 2 best teams in the National League right now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And the Yankees, they got Cleveland and then they got our old friends Boston. And Boston's coming in a little bit on the downside too. Like they've been slumping. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's our first game against Boston all season. I think that's crazy. We're already into June. Yeah. So
that's the new schedule where they play everybody. That's why the schedule's been affected a lot. Yeah. But at least it's in June and things are starting to get busy. Before you know it, the All-Star break's going to be here, and that's crazy how fast the season's long, but the season always goes by fast.
Oh, I agree. And you know what? We've seen it yesterday. Corbin Burns left the game early for Arizona. They look like they're on the downswing a little bit. It looks like they're starting to fall off a little bit in the National League. Like right now, they're 5 games out of the last wild card spot. So they're 5 games behind the Giants. They're starting to fall back a little bit. And if they lose Burns for any amount of time, that's huge. I mean, that's their guy. That was their big free agent that they signed this year, right? I mean, he's their ace.
Right.
So
and they're 2-8 in the last 10 games. So it's The only one worse than that are the Rockies, 1-9. The last 10
right,
games.
and we said it too, right? We said out of the 7 teams in the National League, right, 2 of those top teams were not going to be in the playoffs. So Arizona is putting their foot forward here as being that first team that's probably not going to make it. That looks like they're going to fall. And once you fall back in this race, it's hard to get back in because we're talking about the top teams, not just in the National League, but let's be honest, in the major leagues too, right? I mean,
yeah,
all these teams are right up there. I mean, you're still talking, the Phillies, the Padres, the Giants. You got to pass, Milwaukee, who's won 7 straight and swept the Phillies for you guys. So that was a good thing. And you still got Atlanta's, in the bottom there. They're not dead yet, and Washington is, to me, what Washington is becoming? Washington is becoming the Cleveland in the American League, right? That team that, all right, you look at them, you're like, yeah, we got them, but they're going to be there. Yeah, the Cubs. Definitely. I think the Cubs are going to win that division now. Cardinals, they're hanging in. I'm surprised. That was a team I was not expecting to be anywhere near this good this year, because they were kind of rebuilding or whatever, right?
right.
But they're right in the thick of it right now. They're actually tied with the Giants for the last wild card spot. So,
yeah, to me, it was like St. Louis just came from nowhere, right? All of a sudden, we did not think St. Louis was going to be that good this year. But St. Louis, last year was horrible, but St. Louis is always in it. St. Louis is the Yankees of the National League, even though it's not as many, of course, World Series. But so you're right. The National League is a lot tougher this year than the American League. So there's a lot to watch, a lot of fun this year. I'm having a blast with these games.
Yeah, a lot of good teams in the National League. And American League is going to be a battle right to the end because there's not great teams in the American League. So the wild card race is going to go right down to the end, and that's good or bad for teams looking to make moves because a lot of these teams are going to be in the race, around the trade deadline, and they're not going to look to sell, but maybe like a team like Arizona, who we didn't expect to sell, maybe they're going to sell now at the trade deadline if they keep on losing the way they are. And if Burns is out for any amount of time, that's really going to hurt them big time, especially in that division and especially in that wild card race if the other teams keep playing the way they are. So we'll see what happens. Last week, we could talk about this. Last week, we talked about first basemen that are not in the Hall of Fame yet, or that were not put in on their first shot, that maybe, we kind of talked about, they should get a little bit more. They should be talked about a little bit more about going into the Hall of Fame. And of course, we debated the Keith Hernandez, Don Mattingly. So we had to put a poll up. If you had the vote to put one of those guys in, who would you put in? And looking at it, it was a landslide. It was a landslide.
Yeah. Keith took it.
Yes. And you know what? He does have more Gold Gloves. My point here's what I'll say. Definitely the way it looks right now, the way their career is, I would put Hernandez. I'm a Mattingly fan. I love him. My favorite player. But Hernandez, had a full career, right?
Yeah.
Until the very end, obviously. But he had a full career. And if I'm going to put someone in, I understand the argument for Hernandez. I definitely understand it. He's got the most gold gloves ever for a first baseman, arguably the greatest ever defensive first baseman. So, you know what? That's a guy you got to put in. But Mattingly, to me, before he hurt his back, he was one of the best, if not the best player in the whole league at the time. And if he could have stayed healthy, he would have been, I think, a first ballot Hall of Famer without even questioning. But it's a big what if, right? So
right. Yeah, it is. And listen, Keith also won 2 world championships. Okay. So you have to take that into effect too. Both of them MVPs. Mattingly, unfortunately for Mattingly and for the Yankees, his career wasn't long enough. and he was hurt. It's like, listen, you could bring that up with Thurman Munson too. Unfortunately, he passed away. He didn't play because, listen, Thurman Munson, if he didn't die in that plane crash, he would be in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
And
there's no doubt.
Yeah, and that's a guy, if you're talking about catchers, even with him, maybe not playing, a couple more seasons, because he was towards the end of his career. He was what, 30, 32, 33 when it happened, 31, right? I don't remember exactly how old, but he was early 30s. So he was at the end, but still he had already given you a Hall of Fame career. So I think he should have been in. I mean, look at Mattingly. When you look at his numbers up until, let's say up until 89, I think his back was okay. You could see those last 2 years, 89 and 88 was a big difference, but those first 4 or 5 years were just unbelievable. I mean, MVP 1 year, fifth in the MVP the first year, MVP then second the following year, then MVP seventh, all those gold gloves. What do you have, 9? Yeah, he had 9 gold gloves. Hernandez had what, 11?
Yep.
Right? So he had 2 more gold gloves. That's, I don't know. It's right. He's right there. But I think, unfortunately, he doesn't have that longevity that you want to see. And it kind of hurts. It's weird, right? Like Sandy Koufax was amazing for the short time he played, but then he couldn't play anymore. So he retired, and he's in the Hall of Fame because he was a great pitcher for that time.
Yes.
Mattingly, I wonder if Mattingly retired after he hurt his back. Instead of playing, would he have been put in? I don't know. I don't think so.
We'll never find out. We'll never find out. Listen, those back injuries, they're devastating too. I mean, David Wright too. His career was cut short with the Mets. That's another one. That it's really, and he tried and tried, but that back, if your back is bad and it affects you, it's just, career over. So it's a shame, but thanks for, we want to thank everybody for checking out our poll and voting. We're going to have more polls throughout the season, off season. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming up.
And we started with first base. So this week we're going to start talking about the second basemen that deserve another look, or just to kind of talk about them getting into the Hall of Fame. Maybe guys that are playing now at second base we could talk about too. Let's talk about guys that are playing right now.
Okay. Go ahead.
The first guy, unfortunately, I got to talk about is Altuve, right? I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, unless they hold him back a little bit because of the
scandal.
The cheating scandal. They might hold him back a couple of years, like they did with Beltran so far. They might do it with Altuve too. I really don't know. I don't know what these guys are going to do. It's really confusing with their thought process and everything. All 3 of those guys I was going to talk about. So yeah. Lou Whitaker, Jeff Kent, Chase Utley, all 3 for me should go in. I know Rob's going to not want Chase Utley in, but those guys for me are Hall of Famers.
All right. Well, listen, let's start with Jeff Kent.
Yeah.
Jeff Kent listen. For his play, Jeff Kent definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. All right. What's keeping Jeff Kent out of the Hall of Fame before we get to the stats and everything was his attitude. I think with the writers, even with the fans, and then he had some problems where, he had problems with Sinjo. People forget about this. All right. Where he said some stuff about him when he played for the Giants. And other minorities. So that might be one of the reasons why he's not in. But I mean, come on. MVP he was an MVP, 4-time Silver Slugger, 5-time All-Star, 290 lifetime batter, 2,461 hits, 377 home runs, and 18 RBIs, so 1,518 RBIs. So
most home runs for a second baseman.
Yes, most home runs for a second baseman. So by play, and listen, there's been a lot of players, not bad playing players, but players that have controversy who are in the Hall of Fame. All right. And we always name Ty Cobb. All right. But number wise, Jeff Kent deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
100%. I still can't believe he's not in. Every time there's the Hall of Fame discussion, it's always, he's one of the first guys I talk about that should be in the Hall of Fame, without a doubt. Lou Whitaker is another guy I totally agree with, should be in.
Yeah, I agree with Lou Whitaker also.
Yeah, him and Trammell with Detroit. Trammell's finally in. I think Lou Whitaker is, long overdue for getting in. So yeah, I think he should go in too. Chase Utley, listen, I understand as a Met fan saying never Chase Utley. So trust me, I understand I feel the same way about Altuve. Trust me, I don't want to see him in either, but he's probably going to go in, right? So it is what it is. Another guy who you would know better, a little bit more than me, because I seen him a little bit when I was younger. But what about Bobby Grich?
Yeah, for the Orioles and the Angels, he was another one. And I have him down here. 6-time All-Star, okay? 4 consecutive Gold Gloves from 1973 to 1976. I obviously, as a kid, I saw him play a lot. Okay, Silver Slugger Award. He was the American League home run leader in 1981. The problem is his batting averages was 266 he batted. And he had 224 home runs, but he had a low RBI total, 864. Right. So that's probably where, he was a great fielder, good hitter, but he's probably just on that line where, he's below it, I think, because of the totals. But, solid player, definitely solid player for Baltimore. I remember him very well.
I think he's one of those guys that are in the analytics era that he looks better through the analytic eye, right? Because look at the WAR. Look at his WAR, 71 WAR over a 17-year career. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. So I think that's what I think a lot of people, when they talk about him, the one guy who doesn't get talked about enough, and maybe because I'm a Yankee fan, I'm going to bring him up, is Willie Randolph. Willie had a great, really good career, winning championships. He just had that steady, almost like you could almost put him in the Bobby Grich category, right? Just like a steady, right? Let's see. Let me bring his numbers up so we have a better idea. Like his WAR is just about the same. Let me bring it up. Like he's definitely underrated.
Oh yeah, he is underrated. Underrated.
When you look at his numbers, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-time All-Star, only got voted as MVP twice, or got MVP votes twice. Silver Slugger, won a couple of championships with the Yankees, then as a coach as well. Never led the league in anything offensively. Just that steady, just steady good numbers throughout his whole career. Yeah. Obviously, the home runs aren't there. He was never a big home run guy, so he's not going to drive in a lot. But he's a guy I always say he's underrated, very underappreciated, Willie Randolph.
Yeah, I think so too. And if you want to go a little further, even as a manager, I did not like the way the Mets fired him in the dark, in the middle of the night in California. Yeah. All right. I did not like that. That's the Wilpon. So, enough is said. What they did to Willie Randolph was awful. 2006, the Mets were great. We know what happened to them in the National League Championship Series against the Cardinals. We know Beltran caught looking and all that stuff. But listen, that wasn't Willie's fault. I liked Willie Randolph as a manager of the Mets, and the Wilpons did him wrong. But yeah, he's above average, but I don't think as a player he's Hall of Fame. He's on that line. Yeah. All right, here's another one. If you read the screen.
Yeah, Dustin Pedroia. Okay, here's his numbers. Okay. Really good numbers early on, but again, he got hurt and
didn't play long enough.
Right, didn't have that longevity, but listen, when he was healthy, yeah, you're talking about one of the better second basemen in the league, without a doubt. MVP, Rookie of the Year, 1, 2, 3, 4-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove. This guy's right there too.
He
like
is.
you can't look at the career numbers, obviously, but when he was healthy, yeah, this guy was one of the best second basemen in the league, without a doubt. Led them to 2 championships or just 1?
2.
2. So
right?
there you go.
Yeah. 2-time World Series champion. Yep. 2 of them. And that's great. It's just like you said, injuries and his career was shortened. So he's another one, but he was a 4-time All-Star. But again, his RBI totals 725, right? And 140 home runs and batting average almost 300, 299. So he's another. If he wasn't hurt, if his career didn't end early, then he would be he would have been a Hall of Fame candidate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then the other guy, obviously, the guy who had great numbers and would have went in if he didn't do steroids was Robinson Cano, right? To me, he's one of the greatest second basemen, without a doubt. I mean, this guy is probably a top 10 second baseman of all time. But unfortunately, with and he got caught twice or 3 times?
Twice. He can remember. He was suspended when he played for the Mets too.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So he you know what? He didn't even need to do that stuff. I just don't understand it. And you get caught once and then you get caught again. He would have been such a better player than he was. He was great when he was on the Yankees, but he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. Nope, not now. Anyway,
definitely not.
No.
Listen, if Bonds and Clemens and McGuire and Palmeiro, if those guys aren't getting in, Cano ain't getting in either. But listen, I think the door has opened up a little bit with Pete Rose being put back into the league,
yes,
right. I think that opened the door a little bit, because if he does get voted in, I think the noise is going to get even louder for the steroid guys to get into,
Yeah. And listen, in the 50s and 60s, we talked about this earlier. The players did other stuff, like what were they called? Greenies, ups, they partied all night. And then they played, listen, Mickey Mantle. All right. Those, Whitey Ford, Billy Martin, those guys. You don't have to
go too far back, right? To even your Mets in '86, right? I mean, they were party guys, right?
The '86 Mets are my favorite team. All right, but they destroyed an airliner. Okay, do you know the story where Frank Cashin goes up to Davy Johnson and says, "Listen, I just got a bill for this airplane that the guys destroyed, and they're going to have to pay for it." So Davy Johnson calls a meeting, stands up in front of everybody, and he says, "Well, they want you to pay for the plane that you destroyed." And then Davy Johnson gets up, he rips the bill and just throws it and walks out.
There you go. That was the '86 Mets right there. That's a good story. That kind of encapsulates them as a team right there. Like, we don't care, right? We're just gonna do our thing. We're gonna live the way we want. We're gonna play the way we want, and that's it. And it showed when they played. So like I said, I think the Pete Rose decision is getting back into baseball and possibly voted in to the Hall of Fame, not back in, but voted into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. This might open the door for these steroid guys. It's going to be interesting over the next few years what happens.
Yeah, it is. And it did. The reinstatement did open up the doors for Pete Rose. And I've told this to you before. Shoeless Joe Jackson, he's another one. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. The guy had a great World Series. How could it look like he threw? How could it look like he threw the World Series when he hit? What he hit? It was just crazy, right? So It's Joe Dell. Yeah, they were very entertaining. Believe me, I was there all summer, so you're right. But
thankfully they won the World Series, right?
Yep.
Imagine they did.
Hey, listen, Game 6.
Oh.
To me, Game 6 is the best, most exciting World Series game ever. No one's gonna ever talk me out of that one. That was just amazing. Chris, next week, what position are we gonna do for the Hall of Fame?
We could do short or third. I'll put it up to you.
All right, let's go with shortstops next week.
All right, so shortstops will be next, and this week we'll put up a poll with like 4 different guys, names for second base.
Yeah.
If you had a vote, who would you vote in? And we'll put that up, and we'll see who comes out there.
All right, that sounds good. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. Just a reminder about today's the Lou Gehrig Day, and definitely check out Project ALS, their website. If you want to donate to that organization, that would be great too. Check them out. And like I said, RotoWare's got this shirt. Baseball's the best shirt. All the proceeds goes to Project ALS. ObviousShirts.com. That's another one that has ALS shirts. That money goes to their organization. So that's about it. And like I said, I'm going to post the links up on the Twitter page so you guys can check out. It has nothing to do with us. We're not gaining anything out of it. Trust me. You could see we don't have any sponsors yet. So
no, we don't.
Rob and Chris sponsoring.
That's it. Listen, real quick, leave Chase Utley off the poll. Maybe we might want to put him on. I just want to see what people think that he should be in the Hall of Fame, because I'm like you, everyday Mets. I don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame. But, that's my opinion. So maybe we'll put him up just to see what people say.
If they leave him out, they got to leave Altuve out too. How's that?
Yeah. Well. Well, you never know, Chris. I just wanted to say one other thing. You guys, if you want to go, we now have a TikTok. We have Twitch, of course, YouTube, X, and Instagram is coming up. We're working on that. So,
but subscribe here on YouTube. That's the big thing. Hit the subscribe button here if you can. We would love that. We would appreciate that. Spread the word. Tell everybody, how much you liked it or didn't like it. You could leave us a comment as well on YouTube. You could leave us a comment on Twitter. And again, we always invite you guys, if you guys want to come on and hang out with us and chat baseball. We could debate whatever we're going to debate on, and it'd be great. Just hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah, and we have a great list of guests coming up that we're going to post. I'm booking a few, so we're going to have some really good guests, fun guests. So you guys are going to be happy about that. Next Friday, we still have to decide if we're going to come on at 3 or at night. So just look out on YouTube for our time. We'll put it up on Thursday, definitely.
Yeah, definitely look out for that on Friday. Remember, hit that subscribe button. Be great. And I guess we'll see you guys then. Thanks for hanging in.
We'll see you then.
Thanks.